quick look at Mechs. Try and make this a bit shorter. So, have we got these? Oh, we've got these in order as well. That's nice. Okay. So, Jaeger is basically your bio killer. Um, this is just incredibly strong. Uh, as long as I can see something, the next turn they get a free shot. Um, so try and keep your Jaegers in line of sight of the enemy, and then they get a free shot next turn. If you're going to use them for terrors, you can take this and it's good, but Marauders are better for that job, so I wouldn't. And this seems amazing, but Jaegers are by far the squishiest mech. They don't get any defensive perks until you get all the way down here. This is all just pure offense. You don't want them getting shot at because they die really, really quick. So you don't want them close enough to ever do this. The only time they would be is if it's like the last alien in a pack. You don't want your Jaeger killing that A because by definition it's the weakest one. Um, Take this. You won't use it incredibly often because a lot of the time you'll be moving to flank, shooting, and then moving back. But when you need it, it's good. If you need to hit, a very hard to hit enemy, it's very, very strong when you get that option. And obviously, you can use this shoot and still have another shot. So, very nice. This previously was the best option. Uh, One day we may get our wish and get jet boots for free on all mechs. It's insane, especially on a class that basically you want to move to flank, shoot, and move back. However, you can't skip impact anymore. You need Overwatch cancelling, and these are really good at Overwatch cancelling because they don't get Overwatched when they're in Hunter. So, the start of the turn, if you need to absolutely cancel some Overwatch, you can hit Bullseye to increase your chance to hit, and then that guarantees it gets cancelled. Obviously, if you go in CCS, take this, but don't go CCS. These two are better, and I don't know if this just got buffed for shotguns or not. It's kind of weird choices now. When you get to plasma, this is better at 175. Before that, this is better. You'll probably be fighting more mobs as well now with the sound changes. So I'd probably still go this. For your first three, I'd go here, here, and here. Probably the three strongest perks, and then late game just respec into this. Obviously, sharpshooters just better at what they do. This is 20 now, so I'd probably say this is better, but it's still there's not too many bad options. Lone Wolf's not great because you're gonna want them near your squad to be smoked occasionally. Um, can be a bit wonky to try and keep this proc, so obviously the steadied weapon's not relevant because you won't be very rarely be steadying at the end of the turn. You'll either be reloading or shooting. So you basically trade in 10 defense for a guaranteed graze on full HP. Obviously the issue here is that something decides to suppress you first or whatever. Anyway, decent options, and then last up, sprint is insane because especially now you've lost red jet boots, because again you want to be able to flank, but a free action on your Jaeger is also like an incredible amount of damage. You get the mobility as well for your flanking, so it's like this is basically giving you 0.6 mobility because you're never really going to be dashing, and a bit of armor HP on a squishy class. So that's your options for Jaeger. Bring them, especially late game. They're incredible. Definitely the strongest late game mech. I definitely wouldn't run an 8-man UFO late game without a Jaeger. And they're just like murder machines. This one's not got that. I mean, 33 and 14 is decent. But yeah, very good late. And then compared to this, but this is because he's been running a lot of Exalt missions. And Terrors as well, probably. This is the strongest early mech by far. Uh, You get kinetic strike module early, it's dirt cheap, and you can use it twice, and it does ridiculous damage. If you position them correctly, you're almost guaranteed 2 kills a turn with these. Um, the the best Terra mech. So as soon as you get them and you get a Terra mission, always have these ready for Terra missions and Exalt missions. I wouldn't actually use them for anything other than that, although they are still strong for other stuff. They're so good for Terrors and Exalt. Use them for that. Um, some people will take Fortified. It is good. The base DR is nice. Not being able to be crit is nice, but if all you're using them for is Terrors and Exalt, they won't get crit that much. There's a couple of CST mobs on Terrors, a couple on Exalt, but just position them correctly, you won't have an issue. Plus they get grit, so I'd say that's strong, but CCS is better. Ignore that, it's worthless. Don't spend your time overwatching with a Marauder. Like, you want to be in someone's face all the time, ready to punch next turn. You don't want to be pissing about in Overwatch. So just ignore that. CCS is offensively the best. It's just incredibly strong. The weapon does so much damage, and you get the opportunity to crit down here, plus 20 aim. This, on Terrors, you can just move them to the front, flashbang, lids, zombies, whatever. They'll move towards you, you'll get 3 shots off. Even late game when you start getting berserkers, it's just incredible. Really, really good. And plus the second one you get to take grit, which for just the armor HP, like if this didn't give you base DR, I'd probably still take it for 4 armor HP, but it just makes these very, very strong early because they can get shot a bit and just shrug it off. You get quite decent base HP on mechs anyway with the mech suits, but this just makes them even better. Some might argue you could go this, especially if you're only going to use them on Terrors, but you shouldn't really ever get hit on a Terror mission. Not by any melee enemies anyway. And this is just better all round, because you can't guarantee you'll be within 4 tiles of everything. Just ignore that. Just pretend this whole Overwatch thing doesn't exist on Marauders. You're just wasting your time if you're doing that. This is like kinda good, but there's no guarantee you're going to get shot at, so just ignore it. Take that. Or Brawler if you're purely using them as a Terror mission bot. If you go CCS, you want to go Opportunist, it just makes it even better. Even more bonkers damage. And extra aim, so just crazy, crazy things happen when you put these two together and start running it into the face of enemies. If you did take Steadfast, I'd probably take EC. You could potentially argue Lock and Load to go with CCS, but I wouldn't bother. Like, by the time you fired 4 shots, most stuff's dead. And even if you run out of ammo, you can still just walk up and punch twice. So I wouldn't ever worry too much about ammo on these. Like, there is some kind of argument, I guess, for just sprinting into the next pack and reloading when you get there, but lower difficulties maybe you could do this and just literally like run them from pack to pack and it'll just kill the whole pack every turn. But it's not a not an II tactic for sure. So yeah, those are your options. Obviously, get free jet boots, amazing. Don't ever not always take repair servos until they get nerfed again. If this is an option, take it. Doesn't matter how strong these are, and they are both quite strong. This is just incredible. So don't ever skip it. I'd probably take Sprinter on these, just cause like impact's good, but by the time you get it, you're gonna have other way more options for removing Overwatch, and this is just incredible for just running into the face of stuff. But yeah, best early game mech. Use it for Terrors. I would go like this every time, but do what you want. Goliath actually just got a bit of a slap down because mines were very good and now they're not as good. Although I still secretly think they still might have the uses. Late game, this is very strong. Probably even early game, to be honest. The problem is the aim growth slow, so this is more likely to be like a 75-ish. And most of the flying enemies you want to hit, most of the enemies you want to hit with this are flying. So discs, drones, seekers, which can be problematic to actually hit them without having mind merge on tap. But obviously, you do get bullseye, so this is definitely an option early. It is very strong. Grenades means you can go into one for all and chuck a grenade and get shot at. It's been the DR's been buffed, so like you get 30 from that. 60 that puts you at base 65 DR. If you take grit, puts you at base 80 DR. They do make pretty strong tanks, but the hollow changes kind of nullifies it. I wouldn't be inclined to use a mech tank, especially because the damage output's so ridiculous. Um, Whatever you do, if you don't obviously take this option, you don't want CST, so you can go fortified or grit. There's no bad choices really. They're both incredible. With the amount of base DI you get, I'd probably lean more towards this, just because it nullifies a bit of the CST juice, but either way, good options. If you do decide to go Overwatch, you can go reactive down here, but I'm not really a big fan. If you go grenades, take danger zone. You get to have fun with mines with this as well. Obviously, always take repair servos no matter what, and then at the end do what you like. But I think these are still quite strong early. You can just give them grenades and let them get shot at in one for all. There's not too many early game enemies that'll do much damage to them. And then we'll probably maybe respec them late this way. But yeah, decent early game mech, good health. Um, yeah, and you get good options for chopping because they come from Rocketeers and Gunners who have the uh, highest HP growth. So decent mech all round, lots of good options. Grenades early, CST late in my opinion, but there's nothing wrong with the Overwatch spec, although I'm just not a big fan of it. And then Shoguns. Shoguns, I don't know what they are anymore. The tree just got super weird. I didn't know this was the tree now. I don't know if like Ukros had a stroke or something halfway through this. Because this is just a bit of a mess. It's just like anti-synergy everywhere. Um, Even though Sapper's only double damage, it might still be worth it because of how much base damage you get on grenades and mines. I wouldn't. I mean, I always feel like mechs are a waste as a pure tank because they output so much damage, and you can just stick a bio tank in there and not worry about it. I guess if you do want to go tank, the starting three options are good. Fortified, absorption. That's what 45 DR. You get 75 DR and repair servos by Sergeant. It is strong. This is good for blowing up packs, but it is just a shame that grenade options are super weak now. With shock and awe getting moved out, it's just like weird. Like obviously you always want this, but frag's so much fun. Shogun's just a bit of a mess now. I kind of see what he's tried to do because mines were very strong, so he's just made a mess of the tree. I, I'd probably be inclined to skip these if I was skipping a mech. Um, Collateral is good. You can have some fun late game still if you wanted to by rolling multiple shoguns. Like if you're on low difficulties and you can afford the mech suits, you could actually just run 4 shoguns, 3 or 4. Probably take either hit and run or just the tank spec, and actually just collateral damage everything to death. You'd be able to kill most packs with this, especially like floaters and stuff. A couple of collaterals will just destroy them. If not, I mean, hit and run's okay now, I suppose, but again, you get to here and it's like anti-synergy time. I mean, obviously, you take repair servos, I suppose, just because it's repair servos, but Packmaster doesn't do anything for you for hit and run. Just one extra ammo, which who cares? And none of these do anything for hit and run either. That's a tanking spec. This tree is just a mess. I don't know what's going on with it. Um, And obviously you get a snapshot late, which is okay. But hit and run and bullseye I mean, don't really go together. I guess if you got something out in the open, you can bullseye and then shoot it. Yeah, I don't know. Like you can do that. I suppose it's not the end of the world, but you don't want to skip repair servos. That's a problem. Um, so yeah, Shogun's just a bit of a mess right now. He's tried to fix it, but it's not gone very well. I don't think. Definitely the weakest. I'd say probably this is the order for mech strength currently. Best late game, best early game, just kind of good all round, and then bit of a mess, but still okay. If you're only going to make a couple of mechs, I'd you combo like you just have these for Exalt and Terra, and then for your late game missions, just take a Jaeger and a Goliath, and you're pretty much covered. If you can afford to run 3 mechs, I'd probably go double Jaeger, Goliath. If you can afford to run 4, you could actually just swap to 4 Shoguns and do some hilarious stuff. These are kind of okay on UFOs, but not great. You can't punch as much. You can do some interesting stuff late if you want to run multiple Marauders and just like run up and punch everything to death, but I'd say Jaegers and Goliaths your best bet, mainly because if you go CST on these murder anything bio, these murder anything mechanical, and as soon as you get access to Science Spire, which you can get fairly early, um, you can just Science Spire your mechs. Like if you're using Science Spire, use it on your mechs. Not Science Spire, sorry, Mind Merge. Use it on your mechs. 2 shots for this whilst Mind Merge. 2 shots for this whilst Mind Merge. You're going to kill a lot of stuff. Which is also why this is the weakest mech, because it can't shoot twice. It's got no action economy. Obviously, it can grenade twice, but its grenade tree is just a shit show. Because you need to take repair servos every time you can. And obviously, this can only shoot twice using CCS and stuff. It can punch twice. So yeah, well, there you go. That's your basics. In terms of the squad building, like I say, use these for Terror and Exalt. Early game, either take 1 Jaeger or 1 Goliath, depending on what you're up against. If you've got mechanical enemies, take your Goliath. If you've got bios, take your Jaeger. Once you can afford to, take both. Job done.